Okay, so I have confirmed with you guys that you are able to see me. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances, we all know that we cannot gather and we cannot have a live lecture in the classroom. So we have to be virtual. So for that reason, I am coming to you through this live YouTube telecast. Now, as we know that the overall examination system and other things which we know regarding quiz tests and everything, now they have been changed, and also you know that we have now we will not have a prototype. So many of you actually asked me that whether you have to have a hardware prototype. So the simple answer is no. Now what can you then give us? There are many things you can give us, in which one thing is some sort of simulations which you can do for your project. And for doing that, Microsoft Excel can be used. The lecture of our today's lecture is Microsoft Excel. So Microsoft Excel can be actually used. It's really difficult for me to actually to talk to the camera and thinking that you guys are sitting in front of me. But hopefully the lecture goes fine, and inshallah you will be able to understand. Now all these lectures are in Blackboard. I have already uploaded these lectures in the Blackboard and the other related material which will actually need to download and then study. So it will be very easy for you guys actually to download and study, but because it's a live lecture and we cannot make it 2-3 hours, I will try to keep it short. So what I have done is I have kept the presentation a little bit shorter and try to make sure that you understand it. If you don't understand, you can send a live message on YouTube and also in WhatsApp, and I will answer them, but I will answer them in the end, not in the beginning. I hope that you guys are now ready and you are ready to go through the lecture. If the lecture goes well, then I will go for the next other lectures which we have missed, so that the upcoming test which is coming next week, you will be fully prepared for the test. You will be able to perform very well inshallah in the upcoming test, and also you have to put some of this data in your final report. So Bismillah Rahman Rahim, let's begin. Now you can see that Microsoft Excel is basically a tool in which we can do many things. Why we need actually Excel? So Excel is basically industry standard for spreadsheet applications in the government and also in the businesses. It is widely used for, like we are using now at home, for personal use, and we can also use, like you students, you can also use this. Let's go to the next. So Excel helps you to store, organize, manipulate data and perform calculations. So as I told you already that whenever we will have our data, like when we do a project, we have some data and we want to do some analysis on the data, or if we want to perform some sort of test, and also if you want to plot, I mean if you have some data on x-axis and you have some data on y-axis and we want to perform it, how can we do that? So we will use Excel for that one, which is this one. Basically we can present our results as graphical and as a statistical tool. And as I mentioned before, that Excel can be used for many other things, which I think you will learn with the time, but I will try to actually equip you with some of the knowledge by some examples here today, so that you can use it actually in your own project and present some data. And keeping in mind, remember that because now there is no prototype, so most of the emphasis are on simulations or data which you will be doing in your Excel and plotting something and showing something in a simulation form, this will be very important for you. Now, why actually we use Excel? So, financial people personally or in finance, they use this to keep data, and also it improves your productivity and efficiency. Instead of doing with your hands, if you do this with Excel, it will be very productive, and it is also very powerful for advanced users. So, we at the moment, you students, if you, I am quite sure that many of you have already, they know already what is Excel, you have used it somewhere, and even if you have not used, we will actually will not go into a very advanced level, but just the basics. So, as I already said, that it is very simple and intuitive for the beginners. So, it will also be inshallah very simple for you guys, and I am quite sure that when we go through the whole presentation, things will be inshallah very good for you guys. So, what is the Excel environment? Okay, when we go online, when we go in the software and we double click the software, this sort of window will be open depending on what sort of application you have, version, I should say version. So, what sort of version you have, based on that this sort of screen will open. So, for example, if you look, if you can see my cursor here, the top bar, this is the top bar, this is called a quick access tool, the top one, where you can access things very quickly. The next one, if where you see file, home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, this is actually ribbon with the tabs which you can actually just click, and then down you can see the related items for each of these on the top. And the down one is also a bigger ribbon which will actually show the data or options which will be related to the top one. Then you see here fx, this is basically, here is the formula. So, in our today's lecture you will see in the end there is one example which we will do, and hopefully inshallah you will see that how we put formulas here. So, this is where we put our formulas. There are columns, also there are rows. When we click on a cell, this small part which you can see here, these small rectangles, they are basically called cells or borders. So, this is wherever you will click, this is selected, and this is called as active cell. These are the row numbers. So, for example, if you go back, you can see if say A6 mean you have this column here A, and then if you go down it is 6. So, this column is called A6, this basically cell is called A6, and vice versa. So, if you have something say F and down somewhere here, it will be F10. Also, the Excel is basically in different sheets. So, for example, this is called sheet number 1, you can actually rename it also. If you want to add more sheets, just plus, you add this plus bar and you will get sheets. You can have many sheets here, but for our main project for example which we will do, we will just need one sheet for that one. And also these are the cells, these are the columns. Then you have a formula here, you have these formulas where you can put your formula here. This will show your status, and if you look at the down bottom here, this is plus and the other side is minus. So, if you want to zoom it or zoom out, we can use this area here from plus and minus symbols. So, this is the details. You can see actually this one after Excel 2007. So, if you have a version, Excel version which is above 2007, this is what you are going to see, and I am quite sure that most of you will have a version which is higher than this. Now, from here, because when we have a tab or something ribbon like this, it becomes very easy for us to just click something and get the response, rather than you just go on the top, then just you have a like a drop down column, drop down menu, then you go and select, and it becomes little difficult. But with this sort of ribbons, things become quite easy. I can see you in my live chat, and I can I hope that you can see me. If some of you or one of you can just send one message in the live chat in the YouTube, so that I can see, yes, you are understanding what I am saying and things are smooth on your side. Okay, thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. And you are hearing and seeing me, so I'm happy that it's going smooth. Okay. Now you can see that in the home tab we have fonts, we have conditional formatting, formats, table, styles, insert, delete sort of thing. Now in the same ribbon in the top bar, if you go and click insert, you can see here now if you click insert, this insert is showing you another ribbon here. This ribbon has many things. Here we can basically put some illustrations. Here you can say, for example, you want to add a circle or a rectangle or some sort of illustration, you can put from here. You can insert table, also some pictures. For our today's exercise, you will see we will be inserting some charts, some XY plots, and hopefully inshallah you will be able to see how actually it works. So let's go it through quickly, because once we get to the example, I think you will be understanding it very nicely. Similarly, you can see the page layout. In the page layout, you can set the margins, we can set the orientation, we can set the size, we can also set the background, and what should be the do we need the grid lines. If you look at here, do we really need grid lines? So the page layout is basically the layout of the Excel sheet and the page you are actually using. Then there is a formula tab. As I said, there are formulas and there are functions, and if you just go here, you can see there are many options here for the formula, and we will use some of this, especially the formula fx. There will be one formula in one of our today's example, inshallah. Now data analysis. The data analysis contains button to import. We can import, we can sort, we can analyze, we can manipulate. There are many options here as well. Next, review. In the review, we can check the approve, we can protect, we can comment on our worksheets, and we can check the spellings. Somewhere if there are spelling mistakes, we can also protect. We can put a password. If you want somebody to open your sheet, but it cannot be opened until you then provide a password, you can actually protect your sheet, you can protect your workbook. So there are many things from this ribbon. Then view. The view tab is mostly used to change how the worksheet appears on the screen. So how actually you want your worksheet to be appearing on the screen. And this one is basically, you can say either normal mean just a normal screen which you will open, then page break or page break preview, grid lines sort of thing. And I'm quite sure that until I open the software, probably this will be a little bit difficult for you to understand, especially for those who have never used Excel before. But I'm quite sure that most of you guys might have used this Excel before. Maybe not very advanced, but to the basic level, and hopefully here we will also go into some basics. And we are actually trying that this helps you while you are doing engineering design, not in the course but also in future. Now definitely you are not here, I cannot see you, but you know I always ask this question when we deliver live in the classroom. So if I ask you where are we right now, so I'm quite sure that most of you will actually know where we are. Yes, guys, do you know where we are in this drawing, in this engineering design model, or the whole cycle which we actually discuss in almost every lecture, that where we are? So I go back to the slides, and I hope that you know, and let me tell you where we are. So if we actually go here, so this is where we do in the preliminary design, where we, yes, not up top, somebody says it's up top. So here we are actually in the preliminary design, model and analyze, choose and design, and also here when we do the detailed designing. So wherever we are doing the analysis of or model or some sort of simulation, I won't say, because not 100% simulation, but some sort of modeling, we will use Excel for this. Really, I am missing you, my students. I am really missing you. I am not seeing you live. When I see you in front of me, I feel good, but anyway, inshallah, soon we will meet. Okay, so as I said, that the original presentation which is available online, the original presentation which is available online is the quite long one. It describes actually a lot of details, and you can actually go through all this. If you don't understand anything, I will be inshallah able to make sure that you understand this. And this will be the same with other lectures, because if you look at the slides and the lectures, it is easy for us to deliver in 2 hours, but now here it's difficult for me to have a recording for 2 hours with memory issues and also. So what I have done is that I have kept it very short for you and tried to explain you. If you still don't understand, inshallah, you can ask me a question, and we can have another session inshallah, either YouTube or some in the WhatsApp or somewhere, and I will try to inshallah respond to your questions. So back to our example. Now most of you know what is a windmill, right? You can see here a windmill. Windmill actually is a source of producing power. So the renewable energy, you know, Vision 2030 now, there is focus on the renewable energy, which includes solar, and also, you know, the windmill thing, and they are actually very cheap energy. So our today's example or question, or basically if you are in the classroom, probably you will be doing it, but now actually I will do for you, and there is another example in the end which I will suggest you to do for yourself for your own practice. So we have to actually, there is a problem statement related to this wind turbine. I just put a picture here so that you can actually understand what is a wind turbine, and then I will read the problem statement. Then there are some questions and formulas, and we have to do some plotting. So let's go ahead. Now this is a windmill or wind turbine, and here is a, okay, let's go a little bit back. So non-renewable resources such as coal and natural gas are the main source of energy for many parts of the world. However, these energy resources are harmful to the environment and supplies are limited. Resources such as wind possess great potential because they are renewable and non-polluting. The client is the Saudi Ministry of Water and Electricity. You know that triangle, the client, the user and the designer. So suppose a client comes to you, and you are the designers, you are the engineers, and you have to design it, this windmill, this turbine. So here are some of the criteria, okay, which you have to follow. So selection of suitable locations for wind farms in Saudi Arabia. So first of all, in Saudi Arabia, if you are asked to put wind turbines, where will you put them? So we know a wind turbine basically is good where there is some sort of wind, where there is some sort of power, wind power. If there is no wind, then if you put a wind turbine there, the blades will not rotate. Then what type of wind turbine power you want to use, how many watt, megawatt, kilowatt, what should be the specifications for the turbine power. Then the blades, you know, those 3 blades which you saw, what should be the material, what should be the design, the dimensions, and also you are required. So now we will be actually using the Excel, this Excel which I just described to you, and we will solve a small problem, and I am hopeful that after we solve this you will be quite happy and you will be quite understanding that if there is some sort of the same sort of problem within your project, the current project, you can use Excel and define some formulas, and then based on this you can analyze the data and produce some results and then put in your final report. So here is the formula. So the power of a wind turbine can be calculated by this formula, and this formula is for you guys. You should not think why and where, how this formula came up. This formula is given to you, where power is equal to 0.5 multiplied by pi, the pi which is 3.14, multiplied by the velocity cube, multiplied by radius square, multiplied by Cp, multiplied by efficiency, multiplied by density. Now you must be wondering, where are these values, how can we get those? Let us go here. So the velocity for Jeddah, they say, for example, the value is given to you, that is 3.5. So this is the value of velocity, average air velocity. The other value which is provided, the turbine radius, how long is the turbine. So it is called R, the radius is given up, and it is going from 1 to 5.5 with the increment of 0.5. That means the first is 1, then 1.5, then 2, then 2.5, then 3, then 3.5, then 4, then 4.5, and so you can go until 5.5. And there are 2 cases here for Cp. Cp, some sort of a value in the given in the wind turbine, and for the first case the Cp value is 0.3, and for the second case the Cp value is 0.56. Now, and the efficiency is 0.8, and the density, the last value you can see, is 1.22 kilogram per meter cube. So these are the values are given, and we are given with the equation, the formula. Now let me go into the Excel and show you how we have to do it. So I have already actually done the data because I did not want to waste time online in the lecturing. The file is already here. So what I am trying to do is that I will basically delete this. So as I said in the exercise which is given in our PowerPoint slide, this one, that we have been given this formula and values, and there are 2 cases of CPs where one value is 0.3, the other value is 0.56. Now to solve this, we go into the Excel and we open the Excel, and what I have done is I have created 3 columns here, one for radius, one is for power for Cp which is equal to 0.3, and the other one power for Cp equal to 0.56. Now what we have to do is, for the radius in meters given, we have to go from 1 to 5.5 with the increment of 0.5. So 1, then 1.5, then 2, then 2.5, then 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5. If you go into the problem which is given, they say R goes from 1 to 5.5 with the increment of 0.5. So that's what I have done for our value of radius. Then we have 2 powers here, we will have 2 sort of powers. One power is Cp, which is 0.3, for other this is Cp is 0.56. So, if you look at this, I told you that if you go and click here, here is the formula which I took from the question, 0.5 multiplied by pi pi, 2 parentheses multiplied by 3.5 power cube, that is the, I think the velocity is 3.5 and we have to take a cube, multiply by the radius which is 1. If you look at this one is actually d8, d and 8. So, I put d8 and then take its square, then 0.3 Cp is 0.3, then multiply by 0.8, then 0.1.22. And if you go here and have a look, this is actually the same formula I have put and multiplied all the values given by the variable values of radius and Cp. So, then what happens is, as I told before, that once you create one value, you go down, let me just delete them. Now, if you go here and hold it from the right bottom and then drag it down, it automatically gives you the values for other radii, and then the same thing I have done for Cp 0.56. If you look at 0.56 here, I just put 0.56 in the formula, the other formula remains the same, and it again takes the values, and as I said before that these I already calculated, but if you just delete them, we do not know those values, you just take this one value and then from this value you just go down, just drag it down until this, and you can see it gives you all the values for the corresponding data. So, the corresponding data is now available to you without any issues. So, our next step will be now to plot it. Plotting is actually the main thing from where people can actually analyze what is actually happening. So, to plot it, we have to go in the, first of all, what we have to do for the plot is to select the data. We just select these 3 lines from here. Please make sure that we are not selecting other things like only the data. We select the data, then we go into insert. In the insert, you see here scatter. We go into the scatter, and from scatter we pull it down, the drop down menu, and then you see this one, which is basically scatter with smooth lines. So, I just click it and it takes the data automatically, and you can see it plots it. Now, here you can see there are 2 lines, one is red, one is blue. The blue one is for Cp is equal to 0.3, this one, and the red line is for Cp is equal to 0.56. There are 2 lines, and from here you can see it goes from 0, radius goes from 0, but here you can see it is 1. So, it goes from 1 to 5.5. This is what is being plotted, and here is the power. Now, first of all, this is just a simple sort of demonstration or display, but we want to actually make more changes to the same plot. So, for example, we have to give a title. Suppose we want to give a title, just go and select this, and then go into this layout. On the top you can see the ribbon, it says layout. We go in the layout, then you can see here it says chart title. You just click it and it says where you want to put centered overlay title or above the chart. So, I say put it above the chart. So, when I put it above the chart and click, you see the chart title appears. Now, you can double click on that, and then whatever you want to say here, chart for, you can write whatever you want, wind, turbine. Okay, so this is my title of the chart. So, the thing is that how now we can show or tell that what is our x axis and what is our y axis. We do not know what it is. From this we do not know. So, we have to put more details. So, even select again, and you go to the here next to the chart title, it says axis title, axis title. So, you go here, first you go to the horizontal, and then you say title below axis. As soon as I do this, you can see that we have axis title written on the bottom of the line. Now you can go and say radius in meters. So this is our x axis. Now the y axis is power in watt. How can we put the power? So again you can go, you can select, and then you can go again to the axis titles, go here, go to the primary y axis, and we want a rotated vertical title, rotated one. You will see how it appears. Here it is, the title come but in a rotated way. Then just we can actually select that. We can just select this one. I don't know how can I. You can say PO power in WA in watts, and if we go like that and delete that one, so you can see now on the y axis it says power in watts. So this is the axis. Now if you go and click it here, okay, and go into the format, you can see there are many formatting options here for us. I will not get into this because this is not a very important thing. Let us stay there into the layout thing first. Now if we go to the next one, it is called legend. If you go into the legend, legend is where it says series 1, series 2. So where you want to put the legend, so you can say I say put it on the top. You see the plot goes down and it goes on the top here. So let's put it on the top. You can put any other place, but let's put on the top. So we actually put the legend on the top, series 1 and series 2. Now next is the data labels. Here is the data labels we can put, which is not required here. Then there is if you go into the here, there it says grid line. What are the grid lines? Okay, let's have the probably grid line. Let's go to first the vertical lines. We go here, and if you say measure, now you can see here, before they were just in this direction, x direction, now we have the y direction. So we can actually put this sort of grid so that you can see that every value which we want to see is basically available there, and you can, the plot looks even better and more, I mean, professional. Okay, what else we can do here is if we go to the axis, let's see what we have in the legend. Okay, we don't want to put the pictures. If we go into the design, so we select that plot, we select the design, okay, and we go to select data. Okay, we select the data here. Now this series 1 it says series 1. If you want to edit it, you just go and say edit. Now we can give it a name. So we know that series 1 is basically for the CP, which is equal to 0.3. So when you put 0.3 and say OK, now you can see instead of series 1 or 2, it actually says this is for CP 0.3. Then if you go to series 2, and you can do the same thing, you can say edit and then go into the series name, and then you can say this is CP equal 0.56, and you say OK, and then say OK, and you can see now in our plot we are having a lot of clarity. And also I think if we if we go into the more details and other things, like you can we can change the lines and everything we can do here, which is very easy. Actually everything is here in the layout, in the format and everything. You can just go and change it, but for this example I think this is more than enough. One thing, if you just select it and if you go into the layouts and in the designs, if I go down here, you can see that you can even change it. You see from here, whatever you select, you can see it will actually change accordingly. Look, so you can actually create beautiful plots like this in Excel. If you don't want a background, another background, look, this looks even more different. If you go here, it is even more different, and so on and so forth. So I am quite sure that this is a good example for you guys, and hopefully you understood what I am trying to explain. And in our this lecture, if we go to our PowerPoint presentation, you see this is what we have plotted. Actually this is exactly what they have done. The values are a little bit up and down because maybe the value of pi is 3.14 or it could be more than that. So it could be little bit up and down, but basically you can see the trend, how it is looking, how the plot looks, how can we create this. And there is one out of class work for you guys, which is from chapter number 12 of your book, and select a battery and battery operating characteristics. I hope that you can see me now, and this lecture I have already recorded as well. So I am quite sure that you have understood this. This was quite basic and quite interesting also. Please practice it. If you have not yet installed on your computers, please install on your computers, because now you cannot meet, so it cannot be team. It is recommended that you people actually have your own laptops or your computers, and please practice it. And in your final report I recommend, and as I said in the beginning also, that now because there are not much prototyping or hardware part, these sort of things will give you a lot of marks. This will give you a project report, or sorry, your final project report will be quite, quite a good, impression. You can also use other softwares. If there is electrical problem, you can use electrical engineering softwares or mechanical engineering also, or SolidWorks, that is also there. But if you are analyzing some data, please use this, and I am quite sure that this experience is good for you. And sorry for that little bit glitch in the beginning, because our internet connections sometimes are not stable. Doesn't matter which, either we use Zoom or something. I have noticed that somewhere there is some issue, but more or less I think in the end we have covered this topic. And inshallah I will tell you for the next lecture, the next topic, when will be the next lecture. I will through the WhatsApp group, and I am now signing it out, and I will take your questions in the WhatsApp after the end of this lecture. So thank you very much, and see you soon inshallah.